¿Qué tal amigos? ¿Cómo están? Bienvenidos al episodio número 2, Game Plan Scout In. Esta aventura, muchas gracias a toda la gente que desde el primer episodio ha hecho contacto a través de las diferentes redes sociales, aparecen en pantalla. Ya veo ahí a mi amigo el coach Kevin Clay. Gracias también, thank you very much all the folks in the United States por sus mensajes, por todas las palabras que nos han brindado tanto al coach como a un servidor en este esfuerzo a través de Game Plan Scout In. Platicando, we are talking about college football, NFL, everything around the big skin. Coach, how are you? Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends.
Well, I'm good. I'm glad to be back. Glad we're still in the middle of football season and getting ready to talk about these topics that you came up with. That'll be fun.
Yeah, let's go. Begin with the topics. The first one, the running back position. We are seeing in the NFL the revalidation of the running backs. Many teams have a great backfield. My amigo, do you agree many teams at this moment of the season have a great backfield?
Yeah, you know what? The league, I was actually discussing this with somebody else earlier this week. The league went away from running backs for a while. You know, back in the old days, we had your Walter Paytons, your Tony Dorsetts, your Franco Harrises, your Earl Campbells, and you wanted a premier running back. The league kind of went away from that, and you saw that the running backs didn't even get the big contracts in the NFL. It turned into the quarterbacks, the left tackles, the receivers. And it's still there, but I think the running backs are making a comeback now. Because when you look at the marquee names that we're going to talk about with Derrick Henry and Najee Harris and Saquon Barkley, I think the running backs are making a definitive comeback. And it's either because they can either do both, run and catch the ball, or they're like Derrick Henry and they're just elite runners. One of the two.
Yeah, it's amazing. No, everybody talking about that crazy play of Saquon Barkley. Let me start with that. What is your opinion about this amazing thing? I don't know. On the field, we don't have time to think the things. No, it's more like instinct. But it's a crazy, amazing play Saquon Barkley did.
You know, and it is. I've never seen that done. And when you've been watching football as long as we have, when you see something that's never been done before, that's quite amazing, like you would say, because we've seen almost everything at least once. And what really makes it even more amazing is he's such a large man. If he was a small guy, it wouldn't be as amazing, but he is a large human being. You know, you're talking 225 pounds. And to be able to do that without thinking, you're right, because you can't plan that. It's just instinctive. You know, I mean, that's maybe the most amazing play I've seen this year. And we've seen some great plays, but that's probably at the top of the list for me.
Derrick Henry is the most outstanding running backs in this day.
Yeah, I mean, you have to say that because if you simply look at it, he averages 6.3 yards every time he touches the ball.
Amazing.
So if you hand it to him 2 times, you've got a first down, essentially. But, he does fit really, really well in that offense because teams have to decide, am I going to let Lamar Jackson beat me throwing? Or am I going to put that safety back and let him give it to Derrick Henry? But what makes Derrick Henry amazing is, another back that we're going to talk about is Najee Harris. And Najee Harris, a great back, but he doesn't have that top speed that Derrick Henry has. Derrick Henry, when he gets open, he can take it 70 yards, 80 yards. And I don't think Najee Harris has that. And that's what makes Derrick Henry good, is he's big enough to run through you, and he's fast enough to outrun you. And that's what makes him, he's a threat for a touchdown, no matter where he gets the ball on the field. And you can't say that about all the backs.
Absolutely. No, Derrick is like a linebacker with running back skills.
That's a great. I mean, that's the best. That's the best example. He is a linebacker playing running back and playing running back as well as anybody ever has.
Yeah, the Detroit Lions, they have a great tandem. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery is one of the biggest treasures of Dan Campbell's playbook, because you have not only you have like in boxing the 1-2. No, it's not Montgomery, it's Gibbs. It's Gibbs, it's Montgomery. What a kind of running attack.
Yeah, and from a coach's perspective, what makes it so hard is when you're playing a game, and I've played the game. I played the game for a long time too. When you play the game and you get used to Montgomery coming at you, you kind of brace yourself for the impact because he's a powerful runner, and he's not quite as quick as Jahmyr Gibbs. But then when they put Gibbs in, you're used to bracing for the impact out of habit, and he's by you before you get a chance to try to make the tackle. So that thunder lightning combination, it messes with your brain a little bit and your ability to get the tackle a step earlier, to get your body in position on time, because you're used to bracing yourself for the slower, powerful guy. And then the next time you're doing the same thing, but it's the fast guy, and you're not quite in position. So now instead of getting in front, you're having to reach out and make an arm tackle, and you just can't do it on those guys. But it's an amazing combination. Both of them can catch the ball out of the backfield.
Yeah.
And Jahmyr Gibbs is more of a threat to score from anywhere, and they can do some different things with them. But it's an amazing combination. They use it really well, because then when you fake the ball to them, if you're in the backfield, if you're the quarterback, they've got the linebackers have to come up, and then what do? We see Amon St. Brown running behind them and just throw it over the middle behind them. So they do everything off those running backs. Even their trick plays are off the running backs, and they do a great job. But those two guys are phenomenal, and that's the best 1-2 punch I've seen in a long, long time in the NFL.
The running attack is always maybe the first thing you need to establish, no? Because the biggest things, and you are a coach, my amigo Kevin Kelly, you are an offensive mind. Do you agree in 2024, the NFL is still the same of this game is the O-line and the running backs?
Well, I think you're exactly right on the O-line. If you don't have an O-line, it doesn't matter who your quarterback or running backs are. And I could point to examples over the years. Tom Brady's last year, maybe the greatest quarterback ever. The year before they win the Super Bowl, the next year with Tampa Bay, they've got the 30th worst offensive line in the league, and they're not nearly as good. Doesn't matter who you are if you don't have an O-line. And the same thing can be said about some good running backs. Look at Derrick Henry at Tennessee. He still ran for a lot of yards, but he's averaging 2 yards more per carry this year than he was with Tennessee. And that tells you a lot too. And then, I go back and forth on the running back thing. If you've got a great quarterback, he can throw the ball first and set up the pass and opens up the running game. If you've got Derrick Henry or a Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, the way they run their offense, their run sets up the pass. So I think it's 50-50. I think they both mesh together very well. And it depends on who your quarterback is. If you're right now, I'm trying to think of if you're Saquon Barkley, if you're the Eagles, I think they need Saquon Barkley to help Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Okay. CJ Stroud, since he can throw the ball down the field, opens it up for Joe Mixon. So I think depending on who your quarterback is determines what's a little bit more important. I really do. But man, if you've got both, then you've got Kansas City, you've got you got Lamar and the Ravens, you've got the Eagles, you've got the Packers, all with tremendous offenses because they can run or throw the ball. And now that Pittsburgh's got Russell Wilson going, I think that's going to help Najee Harris and that offense tremendously, and I think we've already seen that.
Yes. Sin duda, seguimos aquí en este episodio número 2, episode 2 in Game Plan Scout in Coach Kevin Kelly and myself, Oscar Clériga. The next topic, sorry coach, Sadly, the Cowboys nation is sad. The crisis go on. We're talking about the last week about this topic, no? The O-line, the running backs, all this stuff around the Dallas Cowboys. What is your opinion?
And Dallas is a franchise that has always based itself on a running back. And if you look back at Tony Dorsett and Emmitt Smith, Ezekiel Elliott, I mean, they've had some really good ones. And they've got Ezekiel Elliott now, but he's on the tail end of his career. He's older now. He's a little overweight and this kind of stuff. And I think they're a team that, since Jerry Jones has owned them too, they've really had run first. And this year, when he had the opportunity to get Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry lived in Dallas, trained in Dallas, and wanted to play for Dallas, he's made no bones about that. And they didn't pick him up. That turns out to be a huge mistake. And then you look, and I was like, at that time, I'm like, well, at least they got Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard, people don't understand. Over the last 3 years, he was one of only 3 running backs to average 5 yards a carry. And this year, he's leading the NFL after contact. Tony Pollard is. So not only did they not go get Derrick Henry, they got rid of Tony Pollard. And now they're stuck in a situation where when you just can't run the ball, and they just can't, everything falls on Dak Prescott. And they're just not able to do it. And if you can't make first downs, you're sending your defense out there in worse positions and for longer period of times, and it makes the defense look a little worse than they really are too. And you look up, and I'm an analytics person. By the analytics of the world, the Cowboys are the 25th, ranked 25th out of 32 teams if in the top 32. And I think if you could change one thing that would help fix them, it would be a running game. And that's what we're talking about now.
Yes, I don't remember in the recent years that this kind of execution in the Dallas Cowboys. No, but Coach, I need to ask you about this. For me, and we are talking in this podcast, in this show, like two friends. No, we are friends, but for me, it's a crazy thing, a crazy stuff. Listen, people, the fans, okay, they have the liberty to talk about whatever they want. But the media, the people inside football, I don't believe what I listen. They are happy for the injury in Dak Prescott. They believe the Dallas Cowboys will be better without Dak Prescott. It's a crazy thing.
I think that's insane. I think it's not insane. They can say what they want. I think it's unfair to Dak Prescott. I think he's been the cornerstone. And, we notice him messing up because you see him throw an interception. Everybody's like, oh, Dak threw an interception. What you don't see is when the left guard misses a block.
Yeah.
What you don't see is when a linebacker misses a tackle and the play runs for 25 yards. Or we'd be blaming a lot of them, trust me. And if they think they can do without Dak Prescott and be better, people are crazy. There's no way that they're better without Dak Prescott. He's one of the top 7 quarterbacks in the league. And for you to think that, and again, respect to Cooper Rush, whatever, for you to think you can put him in and be a better team with him is insane. And I just hope that, I don't want the Cowboys to lose. That's my team. I don't want them to lose, but I almost hope they do, just to show people, wait a minute, we are way worse without Dak Prescott at quarterback. But truth be known, if they don't fix the running game at least a little bit, then they can have Tom Brady at his peak back, and it's not going to be a lot better.
Yeah. Fire Mike McCarthy could be a solution, or how fix this?
Yeah, Jerry Jones I don't think he's fired anybody in the middle of the year before. So I don't know that he'll do that now. I liked what New Orleans did in firing Dennis Allen. You start off red hot and you're like, oh, this is, he's made a turnaround. Then you lose seven straight or whatever. And there comes a time when what you've got to look at is like they're running $1 billion company. I mean, the Cowboys are a $10 billion organization, billion, and so are all these NFL teams. And I take a company like Google.
Mm-hmm.
If you are the CEO of Google and you make bad decisions that cause us major losses in money and revenue, and when you don't go to the playoffs, you're losing ticket money, TV money, and sales of jerseys and all that. It is hundreds of millions of dollars decisions that you're making when you decide who's going to be your coach, who's going to be your quarterback. If you're at Google and you lose hundreds of millions of dollars based off decisions, you get fired. And that's exactly what these coaches are. They're making the decisions that are costing people a lot of money. Now, by the same token, you could say that Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones are doing the same thing. When they decide to let Tony Pollard go and not pick up Derrick Henry, those are hundreds of millions of dollars decisions if they don't make the playoffs. But they're not going to fire themselves, obviously. Yeah. But I do wish they would get somebody in to help them with player personnel. And they don't let the coach do that. So I think they should fire Mike McCarthy. And I'm glad. I think the Saints should have fired Dennis Allen. At this point, if you're the Saints, you look and go, the season's only halfway over with. Maybe we could get a spark and get a turnaround in the NFC South and make a run for the playoffs. Because they're still only a couple games behind. One good run and you're still in. So what the Saints are doing, I value, because they're still trying to make the playoffs. And you flip it back over and look at the Cowboys, and they're talking, and they're like, Jerry Jones, they're like, are you going to pick anybody up before the trade line, or are you throwing in the towel on the season? Mm-hmm. He says, we're still trying to make the playoffs. We've got something in the mill. He said something in the mill. Well, there's something in the mill was to pick up the 8th statistically and analytically worst receiver in the entire NFL. Maybe it should be we're changing the guy that makes the decisions. That might have a better chance to give them a spark. So, that's where I stand on both of those.
My friend, do you remember Apollo 13?
Yes.
Yeah. For me, at this moment, the Dallas Cowboys are Apollo 13. Do you agree? Houston, we have a problem. Today is Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys, we have a problem.
Yeah, I think that's a really good analogy comparing it to Apollo 13. They do. They have to change their mission. Their mission to start the season was to win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
To make the playoffs, to make a run in the playoffs. Now their mission needs to be to improve their team as much as they can so they don't lose the fans.
Yeah. And now, talking about coaches. In college football, Deion Sanders signs his years in high school, college, pro football. He's the same guy. No, now he's Coach Prime. What is your opinion? Because this phenomenon in Colorado Buffaloes, is the second season of Coach Prime in front of this program and make the things happen. Like we know Deion Sanders. You know Deion Sanders. What's your opinion? What are your thoughts about Coach Prime in this season?
I've got to spend time with Deion Sanders a couple times. Really early in his career, when I lived in Dallas, I got to meet him on his TV show, and then 5 years ago, I got to coach. He was the head coach of the Under Armour All-Star Game for high school players, and I got to be with him there. Let's just say I was not a big fan of his. Not a big fan. He's done a good job when he went to college because his name alone recruits kids.
Yeah. And
he's got NFL contacts, and he can say, look, if you do a good job for me, I can help you get in the NFL. And he should use that. And for Colorado, last year, obviously their season started off like this and just fell off a cliff. This year, they've managed to get it back. And if I look at who he's beaten, he hasn't really beaten anybody good. Their schedule's not really hard. I
Yeah.
mean, they beat North Dakota State, Colorado State, Baylor, who's not great this year, Central Florida, who's not doing great this year, Arizona, who's okay, and Cincinnati, who's okay. They lost to Kansas State, who's okay, and they lost to Nebraska. If you look at the rest of their schedule, Texas Tech, they can win that game. Utah, that's going to be a little bit tougher test, but Utah doesn't have any offense. They're playing Kansas, who's down this year, and Oklahoma
Hmm.
State, who's down this year. They could run the table and have a good season, and then it would be weird to see if they're able to make the playoffs or not after that.
Hmm.
So I just think they've got a perfect schedule this year. I think their quarterback, Travis Hunter and Shadur Sanders are good players, and they've got some good players. I think their defensive coordinator's done a better job this year, but I think they're a pretender, not a contender.
Yeah, I'm agree. That's the key. No, it's a different kind. Be a pretender and a contender, and Coach Prime is doing his thing. No, like you
He
said.
is.
No, you may me agree or not with his philosophy of the way of he lives. No, he is the same guy since the high school today, like Coach Prime, with all the money, with all the spotlight.
Right.
But the kids are making a good job, no? Because this game is for the kids, for the human beings. It's a vehicle to have this great kind of living, not only on the field, outside the field. And finally, I'm a big fan of history. Not only football, history in the humanity. But in this show, we're talking about the football. Yeah, 1995, Art Modell make official the sad news for the Cleveland Browns. We are to Baltimore and born the Baltimore Ravens. Do you remember those days?
I do remember those days. I've always been a big football fan, and at that time I was 26 years old, so I'm old enough to remember it well. And I remember he made the announcement at a press conference at Camden Yards in Baltimore, and then I don't know if you remember when the season was over, they literally left in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
Where nobody would they were hoping nobody would see him. There wouldn't be a crowd out there throwing stuff at him and all that kind of stuff. And he did. He left in the middle of the night, and it was something I'll never forget. And I wondered, like, when you do that, will they be the Baltimore Browns, or what will they do? Well, he had to leave it all behind him,
yeah,
you know. And I thought it was pretty cool because other NFL teams that have left, like you look at the Arizona Cardinals, they used to be the St. Louis Cardinals. They took the Cardinals with them. There can never be another Cardinals.
hmm,
But the Browns said, "You ain't taking Browns. We're keeping Browns. You go be something else," which I thought was, showed that showed that blue collar kind of worker that's in Cleveland. Like, we've worked and we've supported for years. We're keeping that.
yeah. And finally, how do you feel about being back in the playoffs?
Oh yeah, my high school team made the playoffs. It's been a little bit before. It's been a while. This is my first year here,
Hmm.
and it's been a while since they've made the playoffs. So that was a good goal for us to have, where we play one more regular season game, then we're in the playoffs. So thank you for mentioning that. But it's great for our community, just like we talked about the Browns. My town, Sheridan, Arkansas, they're excited about the playoffs. So it's pretty cool to be a part of that experience.
Now, congratulations, my man,
Thank
my
you.
amigo Kevin Kelly. You know it. We are sending the best vibe every day, every time, every second for you, for the kids, because this is the reason we are in this world. Make good
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, and we say this every week. You say nice things. I learn from you. So when I get those good vibes from you, I mean, for those of you watching, Oscar will just send me a little inspirational text, and it makes me turn around and I send two or three to other people because you remind me that we can help make somebody's day. And I just think it's awesome, and people need people like that in their life. God put you in my life for a reason,
Yeah,
just to make me smile a couple times a day. So that's what people should do. That's what we're here for, right?
exactly.
We need to lift other people up,
Yeah.
and you do that all the time.
No, and you too, coach. Thank you very much, my amigo, Coach Kevin Calais. Thanks so much. Gracias. Felicidades.
Thank you.
Congratulations. We are road for you in these playoffs. Thank you very much. Another week is gone. Another week came, and enjoy it. Enjoy it every minute in this world. Coach, thank you very much. Have a great weekend. Have a great day.
No, we're definitely going to watch some football. Gonna coach some football. I'm going to watch some football. Thank you. It was awesome.
Así llegamos a la parte final de este segundo episodio en Game Plan Scout In. En verdad, muchas gracias. Un privilegio poder contar con estos puntos de vista, la opinión de alguien que ha estado ligado prácticamente las últimas 4 décadas en todos los niveles del fútbol americano en los Estados Unidos. Sí, presencial, testigo de la historia, trabajando de la mano, como lo escucharon, ¿no?, de diferentes personajes. En este momento, la remembranza que nos hacía el coach Kevin Calais sobre el coach Prime, Deion Sanders, por supuesto, trabajando incluso en estos días con Bill Belichick en diferentes posiciones, que hay muchas alrededor de este maravilloso deporte. Y por supuesto, pues bueno, la gratitud para mi amigo el coach Kevin Calais, que le vaya bien en los partidos de playoff de esta temporada, que bien merecido lo tiene, por supuesto los chicos del high school también, y aquí estaremos dando seguimiento a toda esta aventura. Nos despedimos, no sin antes rendirle tributo al buen Ben, una mascota que se hizo del cariño, del corazón de toda la gente que seguimos el fútbol americano. Un abrazo, big hug for my friend Kirk. Tuvimos la oportunidad, el crew de Game Plan, de conocerlos en la Universidad de Texas. Lau, en las oportunidades que ha tenido de estar por allá, cruzar el camino, cross the pathway with Kirk and Ben. Desafortunadamente, ustedes ya lo habrán leído en las diferentes redes sociales. Pues sí, se nos adelantó al siguiente nivel esta mascota, este gran amigo. Ben, un abrazo a la distancia y aquí seguiremos platicando de todo. Kirk, stay safe. Un gran, enorme abrazo y sigamos en la vida como en el fútbol americano. Siempre debes de tener un game plan. See you.
In life, as in football, you always need a game plan. Show me the money.